Very good evening and welcome to Primetime News on TV1 for the Newsfirst, where the people come first. I'm Martin Satyanesan.
And I'm Umitra Bekun. Let's take a look at your headlines for tonight.
On Newsfirst.
Court rejects request to remove CID chief from Suresh Salai probe. Salai ordered to hand over mobile and laptop passwords immediately. Gotabeya's former private secretary Sugishwara Bandara further remanded. Certain factions targeting judiciary as trials gain traction. Cabinet spokesperson claims state of public emergency not to be extended beyond July. Bus fares to be revised from the 6th.
On to those stories in detail. The Colombo Fort Magistrate today rejected a request made on behalf of Suresh Salai to have CID Director Shani Abesekara removed from the ongoing investigation into Salai and other suspects linked to the Easter Sunday terror attacks.
Colombo Fort Magistrate Pasan Amarasena, delivering the ruling, stated that no irregularities were evident in the manner in which the investigation was being conducted.
The case against former State Intelligence Director Suresh Salai and two other suspects, all currently held under detention orders in connection with investigations into the Easter Sunday terror attacks, was taken up before the Fort Magistrate Court once more today. During proceedings, the magistrate pronounced orders on several requests made by both the prosecution and the defence relating to the case. Start of excerpt.
This investigation is currently being carried out under the instructions of the Attorney General, with the representation of an additional Solicitor General. There appears to be no indication of any irregularity in the manner in which the investigation is being conducted. Furthermore, when the third suspect was produced before the previous magistrate on a prior occasion, he himself had stated that the investigating officers had treated him well. Accordingly, the request that the investigation be transferred to another division of the Criminal Investigation Department is rejected.
End of excerpt. The magistrate also rejected a request by the suspect to use stationery, writing material and newspapers. Start of excerpt.
Accepting books and pens given to the suspect by outside parties could obstruct the investigation. At present, the suspect is also engaged in a fast with the intention of causing harm to his own life. In such a background, providing a suspect with an item such as a pen or pencil is dangerous. Therefore, that request made on behalf of the suspect is also rejected.
End of excerpt. The court also rejected the request made by Suresh Salai to record a confidential statement before the magistrate. Start of excerpt.
Under Section 127 of the Code of Criminal Procedure Act No. 15 of 1979, a suspect may make a confidential statement before the magistrate. However, the suspect is seeking permission to make a confession specifically. Accordingly, that request cannot be allowed at this stage. That request is also rejected.
End of excerpt. The magistrate also pronounced an order on the request made by the Criminal Investigation Department on producing Suresh Salai before the court. Start of excerpt.
It is not necessary for the third suspect to be physically produced before the court for the case proceedings. The suspect is to be produced before court on future dates by way of video technology in the same manner as the other suspects are produced before court.
End of excerpt. Although the counsel representing the first suspect, Yasini Baba Jegin Pass, and the second suspect, Sarat Samanta, submitted that the case against them could not be maintained under the Prevention of Terrorism Act, the magistrate ruled that the prosecution had presented sufficient evidence before the court to establish that the charges could be sustained. The magistrate accordingly rejected this request as well. The magistrate also rejected the request made by the prosecution seeking access for officers to observe Suresh Salai while he obtains legal advice. Additional Solicitor General Dilip Apiris, appearing on behalf of the Attorney General, requested the court to order Salai to hand over the passwords to the laptop and mobile phone that were in his possession at the time of his arrest and subsequently taken into custody by investigating officers. Start of excerpt.
It was reported through the media that he has now ended the fast he had been undertaking for about a month. Throughout the period of the fast, doctors ensured that he was given adequate vitamins. Nasal feeding was done. It was not the investigating officers who posed a threat to his life. He himself was the threat to his own life. We will not allow him to die. With his hospitalization, investigating officers were unable to record even a single statement from him in connection with this investigation for about a month. Your Honor, for that reason, I request that an order be made directing the suspect to hand over these passwords.
End of excerpt. A person identified as Ajit Shanta Kumar Jayatilaka, claiming to be a retired squadron leader of the Sri Lanka Air Force and an aggrieved party in the case, made a request under Section 260 of the Code of Criminal Procedure to intervene and submit observations in relation to the case as an intervenient party. Additional Solicitor General Dilip Piris objected to this request. Start of excerpt.
He is misusing the judicial process to fulfill somebody's personal agenda. For that reason, Your Honor, the prosecution objects to this request.
End of excerpt. President's Counsel Riyansi Arsakularatna, appearing on behalf of the aggrieved party, including the Archbishop of Colombo, His Eminence Malcolm Cardinal Ranjit, also objected to the request. Having considered the submissions, the magistrate, acting under Section 124 of the Code of Criminal Procedure, ordered suspect and former State Intelligence Director Suresh Salai to hand over the passwords to his mobile phone and laptop to investigating officers of the Criminal Investigation Department for the purposes of the ongoing investigation. The magistrate is due to deliver his ruling on the next hearing date regarding the request made by Ajit Shantakumar Jayatilaka, who identified himself as a retired squadron leader of the Sri Lanka Air Force, to intervene in the case as an aggrieved party. The case was further postponed until the 8th of September.
What is the current health status of Suresh Salai, who is receiving treatment at the National Hospital under a detention order? The cabinet spokesperson was inquired about this by journalists today.
As I said, Salai is eating. Previously, we provided nutrition, but he refused to eat the food through his mouth. He took it through a nasal tube. Before that, we provided it intravenously. There was never an issue regarding his nutrition. It is a relief that he has started eating normally. That is all I have to say. Furthermore, we are treating him for health conditions identified through tests that were not previously diagnosed. Regardless of whether there are complaints from his side or not, we are constantly monitoring his health status and handling those matters. As an intelligence officer, I believe he is capable of understanding things, and it is likely based on that understanding that he has decided to eat.
The Fourth Magistrates Court today ordered that Yogeshwara Bandara, the former personal secretary to former President Gotabaya Rajapaksa, who is accused of criminal misappropriation of funds under the President's expenditure head, be further remanded until July 8th.
When the case was called before Fourth Magistrate Pasan Amarasena today, investigating officers stated that they had obtained a statement from Gotabaya Rajapaksa regarding the incident. In his statement, Gotabaya Rajapaksa claimed that although the suspect Yogeshwara Bandara served as his private secretary, he was not paid any salary or allowances for that role.
The former president stated in his testimony that he received the funds intended for the salaries and allowances. According to his statement, he had informed Saman Ekanayaka, who served as secretary to the 8th President Ranil Wickremesinghe, of his decision to appoint the suspect as his personal secretary. Subsequently, the secretary to the president had informed the head of the financial division. Accordingly, the head of the financial division had credited the funds due for that position into former President Gotabaya Rajapaksa's personal account. These funds, Your Honour, were credited in a manner that also covered the areas due to former President Gotabaya Rajapaksa from the date of his retirement.
Former Secretary to the President Saman Ekanayaka, in his statement, confirmed that the suspect had been appointed as the Director General of Special Projects under the 8th President Ranil Wickremesinghe and had received a salary for that position.
Approximately 135 officials served in this Special Projects Division. Over 220 million rupees have been paid to all of them as salaries and allowances. These payments were made for carrying out political activities. This action, Your Honour, constitutes a misappropriation of government funds and is an offence under the Public Property Act.
President's counsel Nalinda Indatissa, appearing for the suspect Yogeshwara Bandara, requested the court to grant bail, emphasizing that the lack of evidence against his client was a significant factor.
My client has been charged with offences under the Public Property Act, such as criminal breach of trust and fraud by allegedly drawing two government salaries simultaneously. Now, the 7th President, former President Gotabaya Rajapaksa, has himself given a statement regarding this incident, saying that he did not pay a salary or allowance to the suspect for that position. Saman Ekanayaka, who served as a secretary to the 8th President Ranil Wickremesinghe, has stated that he was paid the salary and allowances due to him as the Director General of Special Projects. Based on these statements, there is no evidence to show that my client was receiving two government salaries at the same time. Therefore, Your Honour, there is no issue regarding the receipt of salaries.
Having considered the submissions, the magistrate questioned the investigating officers on whether further investigations would be conducted regarding the statement provided by former President Gotabaya Rajapaksa. In response, the investigating officers stated that they intended to seek the advice of the Attorney General regarding the matter.
They carried a simple candle. They walked into their house of God on Easter Sunday morning as innocent devotees, only to be slaughtered alongside 278 of our brothers and sisters. Over 500 more were left severely scarred, condemned to live with permanent disabilities. Don't be mistaken, this was not just a tragedy, it was a cruel, calculated mass murder. Today, we are finally living through the critical moments where the hidden roots of the Easter Sunday attacks are being laid bare before the courts of law. Suresh Salai, the former state intelligence chief, is now locked in a cell, held under detention orders under the Prevention of Terrorism Act. Shocking investigation reports are being submitted to courts one after the other. Day by day, the mask is slipping off the organized, savage network that engineered this bloodbath. Gotabaya Rajapaksa, the former president himself, is now trapped in the country, hit with a strict travel ban tied directly to the investigations into the Easter Sunday attacks. Let's not forget the fact that right after the Easter Sunday attacks, our skilled CID detectives launched an uncompromising scientific investigation. They uncovered the core of this conspiracy in record time. But before justice could breathe, Gotabaya Rajapaksa seized power. His very first order of business to scatter and transfer those brilliant detectives to different places, systematically breaking up the team. They even threw the lead investigator into prison on false charges. But lies cannot last forever. The highest courts have now firmly ruled that those malicious transfers were entirely wrong. Today, the very investigation they spent years trying to hide, crush and suffocate has been forcefully resurrected before the judiciary. This is exactly why we are seeing sudden hunger strikes, desperate protests by former ministers, and staged meetings these days. The corrupt are terrified. The collective cry of our citizens for justice is finally being answered. So the corrupt are scrambling to manufacture chaos and distract the country. But the floodgates are open. As the truth of the Easter attacks unfolds, a dark trail of other political horrors is finally being exposed. Crimes that shook the conscience of this nation. The cold-blooded murder of journalist Lasantha Wickrematunge, the brutal abduction and torture of Keith Noya, the sinister forced disappearance of Prageet Eknaligoda, the vicious street assaults on Upali Tennakon and Poddala Jayantha. Look at Pillayan, the former deputy minister whose name has long haunted the Easter attack files. He is back behind bars in remand. And as the law tightens its grip on him, a chilling trail of past killings, including the murder of the Vice-Chancellor of the Eastern University, is breaking wide open. Meanwhile, Gotabaya Rajapaksa is grounded by a travel ban. Former President Ranil Wickremesinghe is walking on thin ice while out on bail. The charge against Ranil Wickremesinghe is that he casually spent over 15 million rupees of your hard-earned money in just 36 hours for a private trip abroad. The courts will take up the case filed against him on the 8th. Former President Mahinda Rajapaksa was recently summoned by investigators to record a formal statement. This is about the infamous Airbus bribery scandal that plundered our national airline and left it in ruins. Back in 2013, during a deal to buy 10 Airbus aircraft for Sri Lankan Airlines, a staggering bribe of $16.84 million was demanded. We now know that $2 million of that money was funneled directly into a Brunei bank account belonging to the wife of the airline's then CEO, Kapila Chandrasena. Before his death, Chandrasena confessed that a share of this bounty was handed directly to Mahinda Rajapaksa and to Chamal Rajapaksa's son, Shamindra Rajapaksa. Shamindra Rajapaksa has fled the country and the investigations are charging forward. With Basil Rajapaksa slipping out of the country, the mantle of the party fell to Namal Rajapaksa, who is now facing his own day of reckoning in the High Court. He stands accused of pocketing 70 million rupees from a company called Krish. This scandal dates back to 2016. Back then, Namal Rajapaksa mockingly showed up to the financial crime interrogations wearing shorts, treating the law like a game. Today, he has to face real judges. Not to be undone, his brother Yoshitha Rajapaksa is drowning in multiple cases filed against him. The infamous illegal assets case, popularly known across the island as Daisy Archie's bag of gems, has reached a critical stage. On top of that, Yoshitha's very appointment as a Navy officer is under criminal scrutiny. Armed with only a background in arts, he bypassed qualified candidates, broke military rules, and was pushed into a top job before being sent to the UK for luxury training, all funded by your tax money. The financial deception ran deep. A massive investigation is now tearing into the Cirilia Savia bank account. This state bank account, operated by former First Lady Shiranti Rajapaksa and two others, was shockingly opened using a fake national identity card number. Just this past February, both Shiranti and Namal were hauled into the Financial Crimes Investigation Division to answer for it. Even the youngest brother, Rohit Rajapaksa, was questioned by detectives just days ago about his sudden increase in wealth. Investigators are asking a very simple question. How did a young man with absolutely no job, no income, suddenly find millions of rupees to invest in two major commercial businesses? For years, the tragic death of rugby star Wasim Tajuddin was covered up as a mere car accident. But the wall of silence has broken. Investigators now know exactly how Tajuddin was tracked, how he was kidnapped, how he was tortured to death, and the exact state vehicles used by his killers. Armed with strong forensic evidence, these murderers will soon face justice in open court. That's not all. The investigations into the massive central bank bond scam is also reaching a turning point. The government is taking stern steps to bring back Arjuna Mahendran, who fled the country like a fugitive, so that he can face justice in a Sri Lankan court. This single corrupt deal robbed the Employees Provident Fund of over 8 billion rupees. That is your money, the money of the hard-working, everyday citizens of this country, the small savings they rely on just to buy medicine and survive after a lifetime of labor. The public is fiercely waiting to see justice for this betrayal. While the second bond case from 2016 against Ravi Karunanayake and his group was previously frozen by a court order, a powerful intervention by the Attorney General to the Supreme Court has cleared the path. That case is being officially reopened. Meanwhile, Sharmila Pereira, the secretary of Ravi Karunanayake's party, was arrested just yesterday and released on bail. She is accused of illegally packing the National Lotteries Board with political cronies to use public resources for Ravi Karunanayake's personal political operations. Shashi Veeravansha, the wife of former Minister Vimal Veeravansha, thought she was untouchable when she used fake information to forge an official diplomatic passport. The law has caught up to her. She was sentenced to 2 years in prison and a fine. Her appeals rejected. She must now serve her time. Chamara Sampath is on trial for taking money meant to buy school books and bags for poor children when he was a chief minister and putting it into his personal bank accounts. He is currently out on bail. Rakita Rajapaksa, the son of former Justice Minister Dr. Vijayadasa Rajapaksa, along with former SJB organizer Charit Abe Singha, is locked away in remand. They are accused of taking a massive bribe of 120 million rupees to release the notorious criminal Harakkata from detention. Chaminda Vijayasiri, the SJB parliamentarian who thought he could flex his political muscle by physically attacking police officers on duty, is now awaiting his sentence after being found guilty. He is to be sentenced on the 28th of July. This is just the beginning. Every single day, more files are being opened, more statements are being recorded, and more people who thought they were powerful and above the law are being taken into courthouses. When the citizens of Sri Lanka stood in long queues and demanded a change, they weren't just asking for a change of faces, they were crying out for justice. For decades, the unspeakable crimes committed against the public were buried deep under the sand, hidden by the immense weight of political power and billions of rupees that they stole from you. That era of impunity is ending. The corrupt are terrified. Their only goal left is to stop this process. But the rulers of this country must remember, delivering absolute, uncompromised justice to the people is your primary, sacred duty. Make no mistake, the public is not sleeping. The citizens of Sri Lanka are wide awake and they are watching every single move.
As the courts continue to proceed with serious criminal cases aimed at delivering justice to the public, the cabinet spokesperson has said that a group is making false and misleading statements targeting judges.
We have seen instances where through Parliament and certain media outlets, statements are being made that appear to put pressure on magistrates and judges and influence court decisions. These remarks are being made by suspects and those associated with them. While these cases are ongoing, the accused parties are making comments that undermine, insult and create fear among members of the judiciary. This situation has intensified over the past month and a half, particularly as court proceedings have accelerated. Trial rates have been scheduled and some appeals have been rejected, leading to imprisonment in certain areas. It is evident to the public that the judicial process is now moving more quickly. In response, some groups, possibly legal teams linked to the accused or even political parties, appear to be directing criticism toward judges through these statements. The government is closely monitoring the situation.
Attorney at Law Achala Senaviratna says there are growing concerns over the manner in which the Bar Association of Sri Lanka is functioning, describing it as a serious concern. Speaking at a press briefing held this morning, she gave a detailed explanation outlining her concerns on the matter.
Regarding
the case involving Rakita Rajapaksa, the son of Vijayadasa Rajapaksa, when he was produced before court over an allegation, a certain lawyer appeared before that court and made submissions on behalf of the Bar Association. But by the evening, we saw the president of the Bar Association issuing a statement saying, "No, we did not appear. We did not give anyone permission to appear on our behalf. We have informed the media that our role is only to observe and monitor these situations, and if there are any court-related matters concerning them, to report them or inform the Bar Association." My issue here is this. In my case, on the 27th of January 2026, at the Trincomalee Magistrates Court, I went on behalf of a victim. After the court proceedings ended, meaning inside the court premises, I exercised the victim's right and questioned the relevant police officer or complainant officer, asking why false information had been given to the court. Based on that, I was made a suspect. I am an attorney. I go to court not for any other reason, but for my professional duties. So I went for a professional matter. But after that, I was turned into a suspect, and the Trincomalee Magistrates Court the very next day reported the matter without any investigation. And I was made a suspect in a way that directly affects my profession. On the 6th of February 2026, I submitted a complaint and informed the Bar Association asking them to intervene as a member regarding the action taken against me. The Bar Association was silent in my matter for many months. When a lawyer was shot and his wife was murdered, the Bar Association held a general meeting and made decisions collectively. They decided that lawyers would not appear before the Supreme Court or other courts, and they implemented that decision after a resolution was passed. When I went to the general meeting on the 15th of February 2026, I clearly explained the injustice done to me. I said that carrying flowers after someone dies and doing symbolic actions or going on strike and affecting court proceedings is not the role of a bar association. It has a broader responsibility. We have a primary responsibility to ensure law, justice and fairness in this country prevails. When I said this at the general meeting, a very senior lawyer who is on the committee told them to switch off my microphone. I am saying this with evidence. I was silenced. Even after the general meeting on the 15th of February 2026, the Bar Association President and the leadership took no steps regarding my matter. Thereafter, on the 4th of March 2026, I received a letter saying a committee had been appointed only for my issue. I went before that committee at my own expense, submitted all the documents and evidence related to my issue. At that time, a senior lawyer who was present there asked me whether this really falls under a professional matter. I had to say that I did not go to Trincomalee to go fishing. In the Kapila Chandrasena case, the same lawyer gave advice, and in another instance, when that matter came before the Kotahena Magistrates Court and witnesses were called, the Bar Association immediately went to court and said they would not produce that lawyer. But in my case, it was not treated as a professional matter. Just 2 weeks before the case was taken up, on the 29th of May 2026, I went to meet the president of the Bar Association, Rajiv Amarasurya. But then I was told by the president of the Bar Association, do not come to meet me, go through the executive committee. My question is, if the executive committee did not act, then I had to come to the president of my own association. Do I need permission for that? Then what rights do lawyers in this country actually have? I remember that day, even members of the Free Lawyers Association had discussions with the president. They were able to meet him and discuss matters. I'm also a lawyer with 19 years of service in the Bar Association. But when I went to meet him, he even got up from the chair and walked away. I followed him and said, I need to meet you. I need to explain my issue. He told me, do not put these things on social media. I will give you an answer by next Monday. But even after several Mondays passed, nothing happened. So what is happening inside this association? We do not expect political involvement from the Bar Association. We, as lawyers, should set an example for others as we serve the judiciary with impartiality and by protecting the rule of law.
අපි ආදර්ශයක් වෙන්න ඕන නීතිඥ ප්‍රජාව විදිහට අපක්ෂපාතීත්වය සියල්ලට නීතිය රැකවරණය කියන එකනේ අපි කියන්නේ අපි ඉල්ලන්නේ.
The National Transport Commission says that bus fares will be revised from July 6th. Director General of NTC Nilan Miranda stated that bus fares for ordinary bus services covering distances under 100 kilometers will increase by 12%, while fares for ordinary services traveling over 100 kilometers will see a 20% increase. Additionally, luxury bus service fares will be adjusted with a 12% increase for trips under 100 kilometers and a 15% increase for those exceeding 100 kilometers. Meanwhile, Cabinet spokesperson Minister Dr. Nalinda Jayatissa announced that the state of public emergency declared following Cyclone Ditwa will not be extended from this month onwards.
I
have observed that some parties try to create fear by claiming that the government would misuse the state of emergency. However, we made it clear from the outset that the emergency law was introduced solely to support recovery and development efforts in the areas affected by Cyclone Ditwa. We also assured that it would not be used in any way to harm or cause injustice to any citizen, journalist or media institution. So far, the government has acted fully in line with that commitment. The government has decided to allocate 6,000 million rupees for paddy purchasing for this year's yellow season.
The Cabinet of Ministers approved the Cabinet paper on this matter submitted by the Minister of Agriculture yesterday.
Meanwhile, measures have been taken to implement a loan scheme starting today for small and medium-scale rice mill owners and cooperative societies to facilitate paddy purchasing for the yellow season.
Development Department of the Ministry of Finance announced that this initiative provides the opportunity to obtain a loan of up to 75 million rupees at an annual interest rate of 8%. The loan must be repaid within 180 days. This loan scheme is targeted at small and medium-scale rice mill owners and cooperative societies with a maximum daily milling capacity of 25 metric tons.
For the 2026 yellow season, we aim to purchase 39,500 metric tons of paddy through 143 designated paddy storage centers. Based on current data and statistics, we expect to begin paddy purchasing in the Ampara district by July 10th, as harvesting begins there first. While harvesting has started on a small scale these days, according to data from the Department of Agriculture and the Paddy Marketing Board, the peak harvest is expected in August. However, we are making arrangements to begin purchasing early in areas where harvesting takes place ahead of schedule. We have planned to make these purchases from July 10th through August 25th at 143 locations.
The Sirasa Ruhunumaya Poson Puja program continued today.
Sirasa Ruhunumaya Poson Puja.
The Mattala Angirasa International Buddhist Center is one of the key religious sites hosting this year's Sirasa Ruhunumaya Poson Puja. Devotees have been granted the special opportunity to place offerings within the relic chamber of the Angirasa Buduguna Mahasaya. A series of religious activities is taking place, including Dhamma sermons. The sacred grounds will remain open for pilgrims until the day after tomorrow. The second location for the Sirasa Ruhunumaya Poson Puja was the historic Ramba Rajamahaviharaya in Ambalantota, which successfully concluded its Poson festivities yesterday. The Sirasa Minipura Poson zone, centered around the Ratnapura Saddharma Lankara Vidyayatanaya and the city of Ratnapura, will continue until the 5th of July and has already witnessed a massive turnout of devotees. The event is being held with the full support of the Minikirana Business and Professional Association.
Weather first.
The Department of Meteorology has issued an advisory for rough seas and strong winds in several sea areas extending from Kankasanture to Kalpitia via Mana and from Mathura to Pothuvel via Amantota.
We now cross over to Jamal Ratnaika for the latest weather updates.
Thank you guys, and a very good evening to everyone joining us on Primetime News. Indeed, the Department of Meteorology has noted that the sea areas of the coast extending from Kankasanture to Kalpitia via Mana and from Mathura to Pothuvel via Hambantota will be rough at times with strong gusty winds up to about 50 to 60 kilometers per hour. The wave height of sea areas of the coast extending from Chilau to Pothuvel via Colombo, Galle and Hambantota may increase by about 2 to 2.5 meters. Therefore, naval and fishing communities are requested to be vigilant and be attentive to future forecasts issued by the Department of Meteorology in this regard.
Weather first.
President Andrew Kumar Dissanayake has stated that efforts must be made to raise the country's economic growth, currently at around 5%, to a level of 7% to 8% in the coming years. The President pointed out that this progress is expected to involve broad contributions from the information technology, electrical and electronic sectors.
Leading trade associations, industrialists and investors from the information technology, electrical and electronic sectors held a discussion with President Andrew Kumar Dissanayake today. The meeting took place at the President's office. The President pointed out that the country's future can only be secured by strengthening local industry and invited all entrepreneurs to join hands with the government to realize the nation's true potential. He also requested that a report be submitted as soon as possible, outlining proposals for achieving this goal as well as the challenges currently facing the sector. The discussion extensively explored the broad contribution that the information technology, electrical and electronic sector could make toward boosting dollar income. It was revealed that export earnings from the electrical and electronic sector, currently at around $500 million have the potential to be increased to $2 billion, and the discussion also covered improving facilities within these sectors. Deputy Minister of Digital Economy Aranga Ratna clarified the steps being taken to resolve existing credit card limitations on foreign payments and issues within the banking system, and noted that the government is also focused on providing alternative relief measures to prevent professionals in the sector from migrating overseas. The Asian Development Bank has approved a $200 million emergency assistance package for Sri Lanka's recovery and reconstruction following Cyclone Detwa.
According to a statement released by the ADB, the package comprises a $100 million regular loan and a $100 million concessional loan from ADB's ordinary capital resources and a $500,000 technical assistance grant to help strengthen project implementation, readiness and quality assurance. The post-cyclone Detwa reconstruction and livelihood support project will finance priority investments to rehabilitate damaged road and irrigation infrastructure, restore the livelihoods of affected smallholder farmers, and support the reconstruction of severely damaged or destroyed houses. The project applies Build Back Better principles to strengthen resilience to future disasters.
Sri Lanka has officially been upgraded to an upper middle income economy in the World Bank Group's newest country income classification update. The milestone serves as a symbolic marker of the nation's economic rebound following its recent financial crisis.
The new classification announced today by the World Bank's Development Data Group relies on gross national income per capita estimates and will be valid through June 2027. This upgrade arrived a mere 3 years after Sri Lanka's 2022 economic crisis, a period during which the nation battled intense financial instability, severe shortages of foreign currency, and a major slowdown in economic growth.
Meanwhile, the World Bank's Board of Executive Directors has approved $150 million in financing to support Sri Lanka's reform agenda, aimed at boosting investment, strengthening competitiveness, and creating jobs.
According to a statement issued by the World Bank Group, the Sri Lanka Reforms for Growth, Resilience and Openness Development Policy Operation, or REGROW DPO, is the first in a proposed series of 3 operations and builds on the earlier support under the Resilience, Stability and Economic Turnaround, or RESET DPO series, shifting focus from stabilization to supporting long-term growth. The first operation provides budget support anchored in reforms to reduce trade barriers, improve the investment climate and strengthen the financial sector. It also supports measures to expand women's employment, improve the performance and governance of state-owned enterprises, and enhance power sector competitiveness to deliver better services and lower energy costs. According to the statement, World Bank Group Country Manager for Sri Lanka, Gavog Sagasian, said that the REGROW DPO supports the transition to a more competitive, transparent and resilient economy, one that can deliver sustainable and inclusive growth for all Sri Lankans.
Climate change is increasingly affecting Sri Lanka's communities, livelihoods and ecosystems, creating significant losses and damages across social, economic and environmental dimensions. A national dissemination workshop got underway in Battaramulla today, focusing on climate-induced losses and damages in coastal Sri Lanka and climate risk management and adaptation planning. Newsfirst Jason Navaratna reports.
Climate change has had an increasingly severe impact in Sri Lanka, affecting livelihoods, communities and ecosystems. I'm here in Battaramulla today, where researchers, policymakers from around the world have shown up to find a solution.
Titled Strengthening Climate Resilience in Coastal Communities, Translating Research into Policy and Action. The workshop presented key findings from the research project, Evaluation of Climate-Induced Losses and Damages in Coastal Sri Lanka.
Climate change is no longer a distant threat. It is a reality unfolding before our eyes. When climate impacts intensify, it is often the most vulnerable communities that suffer first and suffer most. This situation is particularly significant for the communities along Sri Lanka's eastern coast. These families have already endured decades of hardships from past civil conflict and the devastating 2004 tsunami. Having worked tirelessly to rebuild their lives, they now face the profound challenge of climate change. We recognize that protecting climate vulnerable population is a top national priority. Our policy approach ensures that development is equitable, resilient, and that no single community is left behind. However, one of the persistent challenges we face is lack of timely scientific data to support decision making. Without reliable knowledge, policy making becomes reactive rather than proactive. This is a true value of today's initiative. We must translate research into actual policy and action.
The workshop, organized by the University of Peradeniya Institute of Sustainable Innovation with the support of the Ocean Policy Research Institute of the Sasakawa Peace Foundation in Japan, aimed to connect Sri Lanka's climate resilience efforts with broader regional initiatives on climate adaptation, sustainable ocean governance, and climate-induced loss and damage across the Indian Ocean region.
Vice Admiral Damian Fernando, who was appointed as the new commander of the Navy, assumed duties in his office today at the Naval Headquarters.
Rear Admiral Damian Fernando, who served as the Chief of Staff of the Sri Lanka Navy, was promoted to the rank of Vice Admiral and appointed as the 27th Commander of the Sri Lanka Navy by the President yesterday. An alumnus of St. Joseph Vaz College in Venapur, he joined the executive branch of the Sri Lanka Navy in 1991 as a member of the 21st intake of officer cadets.
Up next in Corporate Brief, Amari Colombo launched the exclusive luxury wellness club in Colombo yesterday, bringing a new high-end fitness experience to the city.
An exclusive luxury fitness and wellness club, Chancellor Privé, was launched yesterday at Amari Colombo. The new facility is positioned as a private, members-focused wellness and fitness space within the five-star hotel environment, combining advanced training facilities with luxury lifestyle and recovery services.
To create a community that values time as its greatest luxury,
the exclusive luxury fitness and wellness club includes modern gym facilities along with wellness and recovery services in a luxury setting. With this launch, Amari Colombo is expanding its lifestyle services, which already include fine dining and leisure facilities for both hotel guests and local visitors.
A source with direct knowledge of the talks and an Iranian official said that US and Iran held technical talks in Doha on Wednesday as they seek to agree on the flow of shipping through Strait of Hormuz and secure a lasting ceasefire.
The source with direct knowledge of the talks said US President Donald Trump's son-in-law Jared Kushner and envoy Steve Witkoff met the Prime Minister of Qatar, a mediator in the talks alongside Pakistan, to lay groundwork for negotiations, but would not be attending the discussions themselves.
Viara Virakun brings us more.
Yes, Sumitra and Martin. Now, the talks are based on a 14-point interim accord signed last month that was meant to halt the war that began with US-Israeli strikes on Iran in February and reopen the Strait of Hormuz, whilst setting up 60 days of negotiations for a permanent peace deal. However, the US and Iran have sparred publicly over the meaning of the interim pact, leading to tit-for-tat military strikes over the past week. Meanwhile, Iran and US-allied Oman are moving forward with plans to collect payment for ships transiting the Strait of Hormuz, despite public American objections, according to an Iranian official and 4 diplomats with knowledge of the matter. Now, if enacted, the plans would be a significant change from the pre-war status in the strategic waterway, underscoring how the American-Israeli decision to attack Iran on the 28th of February has changed the Middle East in far-reaching and anticipated ways. Further, in more developments from the United States Supreme Court has ruled against the US President Donald Trump's order to end birthright citizenship for all individuals born in the US. The 9-panel Supreme Court's ruling upholds a lower court's determination that Trump's order ran counter to the US Constitution as well as a subsequent Supreme Court decision on the matter.
The US Supreme Court has ruled that babies born in the US have a constitutional right to citizenship, rejecting President Donald Trump's bid to end the 150-year-old policy. In a 6-3 decision, US Chief Justice John Roberts ruled that children born in the US to parents unlawfully or temporarily present are citizens at birth under the 14th Amendment. President Trump had sought to limit the right through an executive order, arguing that the children of undocumented immigrants and some temporary visitors were not, quote-unquote, subject to the jurisdiction thereof and thus not eligible for birthright citizenship. The ruling is a major setback for Trump's immigration agenda and has been welcomed by civil rights groups. However, on Truth Social, Trump said the court's decision was too bad and vowed to continue to fight to end birthright citizenship through legislation. Trump said, quote, "No long and unwieldy constitutional amendment is necessary. Congress should today start working on ending expensive and unfair to our country birthright citizenship," end quote. The US has granted citizenship to everyone born in the country since 1868, with the right enshrined in the 14th Amendment of the US Constitution and bolstered by later US Supreme Court rulings. Passed in the aftermath of the US Civil War, the 14th Amendment, which was originally intended for recently freed slaves, reads that, quote, "All persons born or naturalized and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States," end quote.
World News.
Well, the FIFA World Cup 2026 heat is certainly intensifying by the day. 7 matches in the round of 32 have by now concluded, with Norway, France and Mexico becoming the latest teams to secure their places in the round of 16. To officially advance to the knockout stage. In a historic achievement, Norway qualified for the round of 16 for the first
From that, we bring to a close this edition of Primetime News on TV1.
Thank you for watching. Good
night.
night.